Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle and rebuild exactly how you view your own errors. Think about the last time you really messed something up. You know the exact feeling, right? That sudden drop in your gut, the flush of heat in your cheeks, your heart just racing. We all hate it. But what if I told you that physical reaction isn't your body punishing you? It's actually your body preparing for an upgrade. We're diving into a fascinating framework today, from the text Mistakes Are Blessings in Disguise, looking at something called the Dragon Scale Architecture of Error. It literally changes everything once you realize what's happening under the hood.
The text kicks off with this incredible dynamic between a human named Fletcher and a dragon named Zoran. Zoran just hits Fletcher, and honestly, all of us reading, right out of the gate with this profound insight. He says, and I quote, "Mistakes are not failures, Fletcher. They're your nervous system sending you a memo titled, 'Congratulations, you've reached the part of reality where learning actually begins.'" I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The moment you stumble, that's not a brick wall. It's not the end of your progress. It is the precise moment reality opens a doorway and genuine transformative learning actually kicks in.
But honestly, let's be real. That's not how any of us naturally react when we mess up. From a super young age, society trains us to fundamentally misunderstand our mistakes, framing them through this really painful lens of fear and regression. We instantly label our errors as total failures. We interpret them as incompetence or proof that we're somehow fundamentally inadequate. And because we mistakenly believe that an error means we're moving backward, we spend an exhausting amount of energy just trying to avoid that embarrassing feeling altogether. We tense up, we get super defensive, and we hide. But when we contrast all that heavy human baggage with the dragon's perspective, the paradigm completely flips. Where we're totally conditioned to see failure, the dragon view sees an active diagnostic doorway. It is a complete 180. Instead of regression, an error is seen as a vital recalibration. It's an expansion of your emotional and mental bandwidth. It's framed as a mythic invitation. When things go wrong, it's absolutely not a sign to quit. It's your nervous system literally saying to you, hey, you are now ready to handle more bandwidth. To move past the philosophical stuff and get into the hard science, the text introduces this mind-blowing concept of adaptive coherence. I found it absolutely fascinating that making an error actively pushes your biology into a highly receptive, upgraded state. When you make a mistake, your so-called consciousness computer, which is just a really great way of describing your brain and nervous system working together, it doesn't crash, it doesn't break down. Instead, it activates every major system in your architecture. It is wild to realize that our biology actually wants us to fail in order to trigger this upgrade. This isn't a failure state at all, guys. This is a state of profound physiological learning. So let's actually look at how this coordinated response plays out in your body. When that pit in your stomach hits, your fascia steps up as your primary recalibration network. Fascia is that connective tissue weaving throughout your entire body, and in response to a mistake, it literally reshapes itself. It adjusts its tension patterns to dramatically improve conductivity, elasticity, and sensory clarity. So, you know that feeling of physical tightness you get when you realize you've totally messed up? That is literally your physical tissue rearranging itself in real time so it can hold a greater emotional capacity. Crazy, right? And while your fascia is busy reshaping, your vagus nerve gets straight to work as your internal stabilizer. Through the stress of making a mistake, the vagus nerve undergoes what the text calls vagal modulation. It uses that disruption as an intense training session, learning how to recover and effectively regulate your emotions. Think about that moment right after a mistake where instead of fully panicking, you somehow manage to catch your breath and center yourself. That right there, that is your vagus nerve strengthening its tone so you can maintain stability under intense pressure. At the exact same time, your brain waves are shifting gears, which brings us to gamma waves. As the ultimate synchronizer, gamma wave coherence shoots way up because mistakes demand immediate integration. It's your brain desperately trying to bridge the gap between what you expected to happen and what actually just went wrong. To do this, it forces a massive learning moment, rapidly linking your emotional processing with your memory right there on the fly. Your brain literally has to work in overdrive to synchronize this brand new reality. But what about our ego? We all know that bruised, super defensive feeling when we mess up. Well, that's exactly where the endocrine system steps in as the identity softener. By dynamically adjusting a powerful cocktail of hormones, we're talking cortisol, adrenaline, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, it physically prevents us from doubling down on being right when we are actually wrong. It makes your identity way more flexible, allowing you to gracefully adapt to the new information rather than just crumbling under the weight of your own pride. And to bring this entire biological symphony all together, your cranial rhythm acts as the ultimate reset mechanism. It smooths out the flow of cerebrospinal fluid to lock in that newly acquired neural clarity, stabilizing your perception and emotional coherence. It's truly incredible, isn't it? Realizing that your entire body, from the tension in your fascia all the way to the frequency of your brainwaves, is meticulously designed to use mistakes as a coordinated mechanism to upgrade your human operating system. And without this incredibly complex physiological upgrade triggered by messing up, humanity would be completely stuck in the mud. As Zoran the dragon amusingly points out to a frowning, deeply skeptical Fletcher, mistakes are the only reason humans learn anything at all. If humans didn't make mistakes, they would still be arguing about fire. It's a funny little moment in the text, but wow, it carries a profound truth. Literally all of human evolution is built on the back of getting things wrong, recalibrating and trying again. So how do all these individual biological characters work together in a single event? Well, Zoran actually draws a glowing spiral for Fletcher to illustrate this continuous process, which he calls the 10-step loop of awakening. It all kicks off with the mistake and the immediate disruption that follows. Then, boom, your biology kicks in to manage the shock. Your vagus nerve stabilizes you, your fascia recalibrates, your gamma waves synchronize the new data, and your endocrine system softens your identity. Once your biology has adapted, it leads directly to the mental shifts, a widening of your perception and an expansion of your emotional capacity. Finally, you integrate the lesson. And the 10th step? You repeat it. The whole shebang starts over. When you trace this process out, it becomes crystal clear that this isn't some loop of failure. It is the very engine of your evolution. This continuous loop reveals that errors aren't just random annoying accidents, they are mythic invitations. Our source text uses these gorgeous color metaphors to describe the deep energetic shifts happening within you during this process. Cyan represents the softening of your rigid ego, violet represents the active rewiring of your neural pathways, and gold represents the stabilization of your newly upgraded system. The mistakes are essentially the cracks where the light enters, They show you exactly where your human architecture is touching your true potential. When Zoran taps Fletcher on the sternum with this advice, it acts as a powerful reminder that our bodies are simply saying, "Ah, excellent, now we can begin." Zoran emphasizes that mistakes are unparalleled diagnostic tools. I absolutely love this framing because it takes all the guesswork out of personal growth. You don't have to sit around wondering what you need to work on. The mistake literally points a giant neon arrow at what needs fixing. It reveals the precise location where your system is ready to become more coherent, basically handing you your next lesson on a silver platter. What I truly took away from this explainer, and what I really hope you do too, is that we have to fundamentally change our relationship with our own missteps. Zoran leans in and makes it brilliantly, undeniably clear. Dragons do not fear mistakes. They celebrate them. They use them. They know that a mistake is the breath's invitation to identity and the nervous system's invitation to coherence. If we want to grow, we need to completely shed that heavy, conditioned human fear of incompetence and adopt this empowered, dragon-scale perspective. So as you look back at the mistakes you've made recently, especially the ones that still make you wince a little bit, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what exactly is your nervous system inviting you to learn in that exact moment? And where in your life are you finally ready to awaken and become dragon scale? Thank you so much for exploring this fantastic text with me today. Keep looking for those brilliant disguised blessings in your own life, and I'll catch you next time.